What I want to jump into now is the client management life cycle. So this really means as soon as a family agrees to work with us, what happens from there. So to get us into this, I kind of frame out this statement: help me find my true strength, and then help me share them with the world. My success in life starts with defining and exploiting my passions and interests, and then learning the skills to reach my goals. So, from that kind of mission statement, in a way, we can then start to roll up our sleeves and help our clients fulfill this statement. So, the client management life cycle really starts with the screening process. It then moves into the initial sessions, and that's that time when you meet with the parents, and then you meet with the clients and start to really build an idea of the performance improvement plan that that this child will need. Then you move into kind of weekly sessions. It's usually weekly sessions at first, and then you start to fade out into every other week, and then as the client is making progress, you start to fade the services. And from a client life cycle perspective, many parents ask, well, how long does this take? Well, it's individualized, right? So there is no cookie cutter answer to that. But we try to help our clients move as quickly through the change process as possible. But there's a reality that there's an ebb and flow to this coaching process and the client needs. So we build our clients up, right? Teach them the skills, help them practice the skills, and then we figure out that the child is doing pretty well, right? They're able to manage their life far differently than before, and then we just move into backing up. So you have the weekly sessions, then you have the progress monitoring. And that's really during those sessions, between those sessions, how are we monitoring progress? And I'll get into the daily check-in process that we implement as part of that progress monitoring and performance improvement process. So, and then you move into a maintenance mode, and that's usually when a client is doing really up to speed and is using these tools and strategies and skills that we have been working with them on. And then you can start to fade away into a maintenance mode of every other week, right? Or maybe once a month. I have a client that I was connecting with on a Thursday night at like 7:30 to 8 online, or on the phone, right? We just give him a call, and really he just needed that. He needed that once a month check-in just to review his his processes, and he really enjoyed the accountability. And then you transition off, and in that transition off, you acknowledge what might be next down the road for a middle schooler, for a high schooler, for a college kid, and just stay in touch. Okay, so as part of this, we'll get into, okay, what is the screening? Well, the screening call is usually when a client gives us a call, right, or sends an email, and they want some questions, they want some answers. So in that, Judy and I or Carrie will talk to the parents about what we do, how we do it, and really try to figure out what the client and parent needs and see if we can be helpful. That's really important. We have to answer that question. Can we help? If we can, we talk about possible direction that we may go. And we also give them a intake form, right? It's a new client packet that they fill out. And we also give them a link to order the calendar that they will use as part of throughout the coaching process. And then we will get that paperwork back, right? And we will make the introduction with the coach and get the coach set up. And that's usually when the coach will then take from there, right? The handoff has been given, and the coach will connect with the parents, schedule that parent initial session, and at the same time, maybe they can also schedule the client, right? The initial session, and get those sessions scheduled as soon as possible to really help the parents move through this initial process as quick as possible, because that's really, really important. The parents need to know that we are responsive to their needs and to their requests. If we delay, it almost has an implied impression that we don't care enough, right? And we don't care as much as they do. So it is really important that when you get that handoff, that you make contact even if it's a text, even if it's an email, or even if it's a voice message. Ideally, you physically pick up the phone and give a call. Or you send a text, like I'll do is I'll send a text and I'll say, this is David, I just wanted to reach out to you and schedule a time for us to meet, or schedule time for a quick call so we can plan out when we can get together. And that connection is so important. It lets the parents know that you're on it and you're thinking of them and you're trying to move this process along. Okay, so that initial session is really a time for you to start to roll up your sleeves and look at the client packet that ideally you've received by then, and start to figure out who this kid is and start to plan for that initial session. And in the initial session, really there's some simple goals in mind, right? I got to build rapport. So important. And to do that, I'll talk about the 10-to-1 rule. What you want to do is ask 10 questions for every one statement, right? So you're just probing. You're trying to dig deeper and deeper into understanding who this child is, what the needs are, try to understand where the parents are coming from. Okay, so you are not a coach at this point. You're just a prober. You're an analyzer for information, and you just want to ask a ridiculous amount of questions. And I used to take copious notes, and then I started to realize that when I was taking notes during that process, I was missing the opportunities to ask questions. So I just stopped. It didn't work with my skills, and your coaching style will have to play out to figure that out. But you have to be very present, and you have to be very open to that dialogue and come in with very little expectations, except I got to get to know this family. I got to get to know their concerns. I have to build a relationship, build a trust, build rapport, and then I can start to make some decisions and make some recommendations. So initial sessions, the topics to cover: gathering information, academic history, and so gathering information means just look at the professional, gather tests. Ask what's going on with professionals that the client's seeing. Talk about the home life. Really dig into that. Get copies of things if you can. That's so important. At least it informs you of what's going on. Looking through a neuropsych at working memory scores and looking at the data to say where are the lag, or why do these lagging skills exist? What is the data showing that might help in that analysis? What's the 504 plan say? What's the IEP say? What's the classroom report? What do the grades say? So start to really unravel and really dig deep into what's going on with this kiddo. Background information, like I said, you can talk about all aspects of the client, because again, from a holistic perspective, I really want to know who this kid is. I really want to know what this family's concerns are. What's going on in the home? Siblings. What's the family dynamics? What's the social life all about? Okay, and you're also starting to look at life skills. Look at this. Look at the life aspects of your client. So you talk about the health related priorities, right? So eating well, exercise, sleep. Ask about medication. Well, are they on it or not? Well, if they're not, why not? Just because. Like maybe they made a conscious decision. Maybe they tried a whole bunch of medication, nothing worked. Or they don't know yet. They want to stay away from it, and they really want to put in some real alternative interventions first before they try medication. Great. Yeah, ask about that. Therapy, relationships, habits, beliefs, and so on. Okay. So here's some specifics around the parent intake. So you're going to separate it into two categories. You have the parent session, right? That intake session with the parent, and then you have the intake session with the client, and you want to separate those two. You want to really focus on where the parents are coming from, okay, and ask questions related to that. Try to figure out where they're at. Why do they see their child? How do they see their child? Do they see the child from a strength-based perspective or from a lagging skills perspective? And in doing this, you can really start to build out, okay, where can I go with these parents in terms of a parent coaching perspective? Now, at this point, you're not a coach. You're just trying to really dig in and try to understand, right? But these are some areas, these are some questions that you can delve into, okay? As part of that, you can talk to the parents around what they can expect or what you can expect from them. So you can talk about the coaching model and what you'll be doing with the client. You haven't met them yet, so you just talk about kind of high-level theoretical perspectives on what can happen. And in this, but you can also talk about what you can expect from the parents. And I always say to them, I really value weekly updates from you or daily communication, whatever is important. I value the feedback. So before I see your client, I really expect or would like to put a plan in place where I'm getting an update from you as to what you've noticed from this week. Okay? As well as other aspects, introduction to a therapist, copies of assessments, things that you would like to get from the parents to help inform the weekly progress or to help inform your performance improvement plan. Okay? During your client session, again, all you're trying to do in that first session is get to know your kiddo. Okay? Really lower your expectations, lower your energy. Do not come into that session with anything more than a goal of, got to get to know this kid. I want this kid leaving this session wanting to come back. So important. Figure out what they're good at, figure out what their interests are, make connection by some commonalities, whatever it takes. Remember, these clients were dragged in by their parents, and you have to get their buy-in. That is so very important. You cannot be a coach, ever, if you don't get client buy-in on the first session. So, get that rapport established instantly. And these are just some talking points. Okay, you can just ask questions. What I always try to do is try to figure out what your client might want to get better at. Right? Most clients that are students want to get better grades. Okay, well then start there. Let me just help you do that. If all you and I do during our next 6 sessions is work on getting better grades, would that be worth your time? Yes or no? Most times they'll say yes. Great, we have something that you and I will work on. Well, and let me ask you another question. What are some things you'd really like your parent to stop nagging you about? That's an awesome one, because now you're becoming their advocate. You can get inside, get in their corner of the ring, so to speak. Okay, super important. Talk about life skills. Right? Talk about the schedule of life, the routines of life, the challenges of managing mornings, evenings. Okay, so this is where you can start to unravel some real lagging skills regarding core independent life skills. And this will play out as you develop your performance improvement plan. Okay, discuss the session schedules. Talk to your parents around what the schedule will look like. Try to create at least 6 weeks into the future a consistent session schedule. It's so important. You cannot make progress at all without consistency from the parents, and that comes from creating a schedule that works. All right, I have found Saturday mornings being amazingly effective from that perspective. As soon as I threw out the possibilities of a Saturday morning working with clients, now that just worked with my schedule. But I found that I could get consistency in sessions because kids just weren't available any other time. Okay, academic coaching. That from this perspective, this may be a time when you talk about what a home visit could look like. Well, if I did come to the home, what would I work on, right? And this is really powerful. If you can get to the home, do it. I don't care if it's an hour drive away. We can build that in to the session so that you're getting paid for your drive time. But you want to get into the home. It's powerfully important in the coaching process to get into their environment and help with organizational systems. Help from a parent coaching perspective to be able to work on system level change, to be able to walk through with a client, visualizing and verbalizing their morning routine, their evening routine. So what do you mean? You start off in the bedroom. Okay, where do you go next? Oh, okay, I'll walk out the front door. I walk out my bedroom door and I go down the hallway into the bathroom. Oh, I thought you said you go into your closet and you get dressed. So you really start to help them task analyze their life. And it really is powerfully important in building that episodic memory and helping them strengthen the predictability and the consistency that can play out if they have a stronger self-regulatory systems in how they see temporal and spatial awareness throughout the mornings, evenings, these routines, this kind of mindset around schedule of life. Really, really helpful. Okay, so the planner at this point, ideally, parents have brought this in and because they've ordered it. That's okay. If they haven't, you still want to reinforce getting this planner. It's on Amazon. It can come within 2 days. And, maybe you have a chance to talk about it. Maybe you don't. But the planner becomes a core foundation on teaching the order of life, right? The order, how to manage priorities and how to navigate responsibilities and how to develop a predictable perspective and picture around what tasks I'm trying to manage throughout my academic life. Really important. Students that grab a hold of this, they crush it and they never turn back. A lot of other students, it feels like it's sometimes 10 steps forward, 11 steps back, but every time you ask them, do you want to try something new, or do you want to keep working on this? They typically will say they want to work on it because they understand the value that it adds to their life. At least they do cognitively. It's really helping them self-regulate their emotions and thoughts and behaviors around its consistent use. Okay. Discuss the daily check-in process. What does this mean? It's a client-initiated contact with the coach. I use the Remind app. It's been really, really powerful for me as a really busy professional to reach out or to have my clients connect with me. And it also allows me to send out group texts to all my clients when I want to just kind of be a cheerleader with an emoji or something during a time period of the week. But text messages work great, emails work great, and you can include the parents as well. That's part of that team process. Sometimes you don't want to, so you just work with the client. Other times you do want to bring the parents into a group text. Okay, so the daily check-in process, it's a way of building that positive continuity, the positive consistency, the positive practice of the skills and strategies that we're trying to teach them to use on a daily basis. Okay, and then plan next steps. Don't leave a session. Don't leave that initial session without talking about what next steps can look like. Okay, make sure you have parents seeing as far into the future with you as to where we're going as you need them to, so that there is so that you are forming a consistent continuity of coaching sessions. Okay, let's stop there.